A very good morning to everyone. A very good morning to everyone. So, today I'll be doing the Hindu analysis of 27th of November. I've shared the screen with you. Okay, so I've shared the screen with you and let's begin. Okay, so the first editorial that I'm doing with you is fleet electrification to tackle urban pollution. So, what is fleet electrification and why do you need this fleet electrification to tackle urban pollution and what are the means of urban pollution, etc. Let's begin. Okay. Now, fleet electrification to tackle urban pollution. The air quality index in many Indian cities has entered the red zone. That means AQI has worsened because when it's red, that means you need to get alert. So, air quality index has entered the red zone several days this year. Millions of people have to face serious health hazards due to recurring increase in air pollution. It is clear that mitigation strategies have to be prioritized. As per two seminal studies pertaining to Delhi, the Urban Emission 2015 and the ERI study 2018, a significant contributor to urban smog is PM 2.5 and PM 10 pollution, which is caused by transport and construction sector. See, this is what I told you that firstly we need to know what is fleet electrification. Then we need to know that why do we require this fleet electrification to tackle urban pollution. And if we are talking about urban pollution, that means what are the causes of urban pollution? Because pollution is there out of many sources. But why specifically the urban pollution, and why do you require the fleet electrification program to tackle urban pollution? So they say that in urban pollution, the main cause of urban pollution is coming from your transport and construction sector. Now, increase in truck fleet. So, about 9 lakh new trucks are added to Indian roads every year. So, what is the number? That means 9 lakh trucks or 9 lakh new trucks are added every year. To an already running fleet to 70 lakh trucks. That means 9 lakh per year is added to already running. That means 70 lakh trucks. Indians carry over 2 trillion ton kilometer freight on trucks annually. These trucks consume over one-fourth of Indian oil imports and contribute to over 90% of road transport CO2 emission. So again, what the numbers are saying is that these trucks, that means you have 9 lakh trucks that are, just a second. So 9 lakh trucks are added every year, and to a fleet of how many? 70 lakh trucks that are already there, which are added every year. And then you have 70 lakh trucks that are already there. And together, what is happening is They are consuming how much? They are consuming 1/4 of Indian oil imports. That means they consume 1/4 of imports every year and contribute to over 90% of transport or road transport CO2 emission. That means they are consuming this much of Indian oil and at the same time they are contributing. How much? They are contributing close to 90% road transport CO2 emission. Now, the rate of increase of truck fleet is expected to keep increasing in a growing network of roads in an emerging economy. If all these new trucks are powered by diesel fired internal combustion engine vehicles, as is the case today, our cities will face a greater onslaught of PM 2.5 pollution. So, if you see PM 2.5 pollution, that is your particulate matter 2.5 will immensely increase. And why they are saying that this will increase, because if all these new trucks are powered by diesel fired internal combustion engine vehicle, as is the case today, that means if these trucks that have been that are adding every year and to add on to those who are already present, so what is happening is this will or these diesel driven trucks will lead to increase in PM 2.5. So if you see high increase in trucks will lead to high consumption of diesels, and this high consumption of diesel is going to contribute towards what? Excessive PM 2.5. Now, excessive PM 2.5 is going to do what? This is going to lead to what? Increase in pollution. Now, thankfully, India has already electrified rail freight transportation, but that caters to only about 20% of the freight carried in the country. That means out of 100% freight transportation, what is happening is you have 20% that is coming from railways. And this part of freight transportation is electrified. So now what is happening? But that caters only about 20% of the freight carried in the country. Now, on roads, India's electric vehicle penetration rate has crossed the 6% mark, but electric trucks remain a challenge due to upfront cost and charging infrastructure constraints. So, now what the point is that we require electric trucks. Now, electric trucks are facing what issue? First issue is the upfront cost. That means in order to bring them on road, this is a burden. And another another thing which is again, there's a big issue is charging infrastructure constraints. Now, it is commendable that the government is aggressively electrifying the bus fleet and sets electrification targets for bus aggregators. Now, however, the focus must extend to diesel trucks and dust mitigation. That means the author is saying that you need to focus on what, since we are using diesel trucks, so you need to focus on diesel trucks. Then the dust mitigation, that means all that particulate matter that is happening in the atmosphere, so that need to be covered. Now, significant PM sources requiring immediate attention. This is important both from an energy security perspective and sustainable perspective. That means first, why do we require to bring in this change? That means bringing fleet electrification. So first thing is they are saying is that you need to bring in energy security. So for energy security, this is must. And second thing that is important is because of sustainability perspective. So because of these two reasons, fleet electrification becomes important. Now, need of the hour, in this era of urgency where every breath counts, deploying solutions swiftly is paramount. The recent demand for 7,700 e-trucks in India by 2030, if it materializes, will result in the country saving over 800 billion liters of diesel till 2050. That means if you are going to introduce 7,700 or 50 e-trucks, that means your electric trucks. Now, when you are introducing this much of e-trucks, and by what time? This is by 2030. Now, what is going to happen is, when this is introduced, it is going to save, and save how much? 800 billion liters of your fuel. So 800 billion liters of diesel, and by 2050. Now, however, the Indian truck fleet is likely to reach a figure of 1.7 crore in 2050. Hence, there is a need to push top gear on the pace of transition to e-trucks. Now, public funding alone cannot meet the transformational scale required. Now, a pipeline of bankable projects effectively structured which can attract private and institutional capital at a ratio of at least 6 rupees for every rupee of public spending is the need of the hour. So if you see what they are saying is that if you are going to deploy these electric trucks, now this will help in energy security and will also bring sustainability. Now after this, what they said was, now what is important is that there's a need to push top gear on the pace of transition to e-trucks. That means you need to do it at a very fast pace. That means introducing e-trucks onto the regions is very important, and that should be done at a fast pace. This is what they are saying. Now, public funding alone cannot mean transformational scale. That means public funds. That means contribution alone from the government is not sufficient to meet. So, what is required? A pipeline of bankable project effectively structured, which can attract private and institutional capital. That means now you need to work on the profitability of the project. So the work should be done on profitability of the project. Now, based on the profitability of the project, what is going to happen is, now if the project, that means the project of bringing e-trucks or manufacturing of e-trucks, bringing the e-trucks onto the roads is good, or you can say it is profitable, what is going to happen? Private investment will ultimately, steepen. So this will help in what, attracting public and private investment. So now what is happening is, though the victory achieved more than 50% electric vehicle penetration in the three-wheelers electrification in India is an important milestone for the 2017 net zero agenda. That means the 2017 in the 2070 agenda, what is happening? If you want to achieve what net zero emission in this agenda, so in the net zero emission, the first thing that is very important is that India has achieved what three wheelers electrification, which is giving good results. Now, transport sector decarbonization paths have led by truck electrification. That means bringing in this three-wheeler electrification is leading to what? Decarbonization. Now, however, the upfront cost of a mid-range electric truck in India is around 1.5 crore compared to about 40 lakh for a diesel truck. So, if you see why the project is becoming expensive, or why the author is talking about profitability of the project, and why author is continuously saying that public funding is not going to help out, the reason being key. First, it is you have to see what is the profitability of the project. Now when you know that this is the expense that is going to take place in bringing mid-range electric trucks in India, which the author is saying that is close to around 1.5 crores, now which is quite high the amount as compared to 40 lakh for a diesel truck. That means, see, I told you about that 9 lakh trucks are introduced every year. Now, when 9 lakh trucks are introduced every year, that means those trucks are your diesel trucks. And if these trucks are introduced there every year, what is going to happen is uh, that shall be costing you 40 lakh. But if you are going to introduce electric truck, this shall cost you around 1.5 crore. So this and the cost of charging logistic remains major hurdles in the transition to e-trucks in the country. That means, firstly, the cost and the charging infrastructure. This remains a challenge. Challenge why? Because if you are going to introduce e-trucks, they are going to cost you around 1.5 crores. And if you are going to introduce those diesel trucks, that cost you around 40 lakhs. Fine. Then charging logistics again. So green freight corridors. Now declaring some of the expressways and national highways as green freight corridors will have a demonstration effect in the country. Now, accelerating feasibility studies, demand aggregation, suppliers' readiness, a prudent risk allocation strategy are required to create green freight corridors in India. Now, such corridors can first evolve in small stretches of 500 kilometers on route with heavy truck movement. Firstly, innovative financial instruments, incentivization of charging infrastructure. So, what you need to focus on is innovative financial instruments. Second is incentivization of charging infrastructure. Third is facilitation of entrepreneurial efforts. Fourth is conducive regulatory environments in the country can bring forth the much needed breakthrough for truck electrification in India. Now, we must realize the urgency of the need to take such concerted efforts if we want a fresh breath of life in our cities. Now, if you see, all in all, even today now winters have came in, and the capital region, there's a lot of smog over in the region. And if you see, the author is continuously saying that if you want to have a breath of fresh, a fresh breath of for life, what you require is that you need to see what is the urgent demand, and based on that urgent demand, you need to create your supplies, and that creation of supplies should be in a way where it is budget friendly, that means cost effective, and at the same time, when it is cost effective, at the same time this shall also help in bringing what uh, sustainability to the environment. Fine. Okay, now move on to the next one. Now, molding the Himalayas need caution. So, as the efforts to, since in the last 1 week, we have been talking about, there's been news about the tunnel that, or the tragedy that has happened in the Uttarakhand areas. So, in the districts of Uttar Kashi. So, based on that, let's see what the author is talking about. So, he was formerly directly elected as a deputy mayor of Shimla. So let's see what his take is there on the Himalayas. So as the efforts to evacuate 41 workers trapped in a tunnel near Silkyara in the Uttar Kashi district of Uttarakhand are weeks away from fusion, the infrastructure development trajectory in the Himalayas come under serious clouds because if this has happened to the 41 workers who have been trapped, the only or the big cause over here now is to be addressed that what kind of infrastructure need to be developed in the Himalaya regions, because we have tourists traveling over there. We have people who, our own people who travel to these regions. So, what are the protocols that are required or that need to be kept in mind in the infrastructure creation in the Himalayan region? Now, can the current model of widening roads, rampant construction of hydropower projects, and the unbridled impetus for tourism be a sustainable way of development? That means widening road, will it be good? Now the question is this. Second is hydropower project, will this be good? Because you can, there are very high chances you are going to face the wrath of the nature. So widening road, hydropower projects, and the next one is unbridled impetus for tourism. That means this is what I told you, that there are people who have been visiting. Our own people have been visiting. At the same time, we have tourists who are coming from the other countries. Then, if this would be the scenario, then definitely tourism will be affected. And since Himalayas have long been a tourist attraction place, so we just can't let it go. Now, all these are they, yeah, and the unbridled impetus for tourism be a sustainable way of development. It means these three things are the sustainable way of development. Now, the Char Dham project, all-weather roads being constructed by National Highway Authority of India in Uttarakhand, linking the four religious pilgrims, that are your Gangotri, Yamunotri, Badrinath, and Kedarnath, has brought into focus two major issues in the Indian Himalayan regions. Now, what are those issues? The foremost one is about the development model itself, and in concrete terms, what should be the carrying capacity of your Indian Himalayan region. That means whenever there is any kind of development that is going to happen, first you need to take care of, first you need to know about what carrying capacity of Himalayan region. Also important are the processes in which the environment clearance was sought, undermining safety protocols and a new form of architecture that should be built to construct and monitor infrastructure projects if at all they are desired in the region. That means, firstly, you need to check the carrying capacity. Secondly, what you need to see is you need to monitor the infrastructure projects. That means the kind of material that is being used, or what is the demand of that region. For example, if the region is often often encounters flood, drought, or you can say glacial outburst flood. So keeping in that mind, what you need to do is you need to monitor the infrastructure. The irony is that the flash floods of 2013 in Uttarakhand are suggested as the reasons for construction of Char Dham Yatra. In a way, a tragedy becomes the source of many tragedies in the offing. Now, in 2016, the Prime Minister announced that the Surface Transport Minister was acting like Shravan Kumar, a character in the Ramayana who took his blind parents to Kalyan. Likewise, the minister is constructing these connections between the four holy towns, not realizing that this is against the wishes of the nature. This is what I am saying, that you need to monitor the project because it is very important to take note that what is the demand of that area. If the area is often encounters flood, if the region is often encountering glacial lake outburst flood. So what you need to do is you need to take note whether the region is, how what kind of material is required, what kind of development activities are required over there. Now, against nature, one of the major problems in this project is in accepting the fact that Himalayas are the youngest range of mountains and still in the formative stages. Now, geological and geotechnical studies make the point here that this is a dangerous project and fatality induced. Now, the main central thrust of the Himalaya passes a few kilometers of, just a minute, okay. So, the main central thrust of the Himalaya passes a few kilometers north of the incident site. Scientists have pointed out in the past as well. This means that area is extremely sensitive to earthquakes and now, the National Highway Authority of India has said it is going to conduct a detailed inspection of 29 tunnels in the country for further safety and avoiding accidents. Now, it is highly paradoxical on their part that wisdom is dawning on them when the lives of 41 workers are at risk. And this simply shows that the habitual monumental callousness and the slumber of bureaucracy. So, the author is saying that if you see what that that the inspection of the tunnels that have been, or if you do the detailed inspection of the 29 tunnels in the country of further safety and avoiding accidents, what you'll find is that the tunnel which has just collapsed, it is because of the carelessness. That means the construction that happened was not up to the mark of what was needed in the region. And the next one is slumbering of the bureaucracy. That means bureaucracy was not that good in dealing with the issue. Now the next thing, the sheer frenzy is in going about construction and projects in the region has led to a situation where even the basics of mountain construction codes have been set aside. Now, the EIA has not been taken seriously. When you do disaster management, you will read about EIA, that is environmental impact assessment. If you're going to construct this project, or if you're going to take this project on construction activities, what is the impact it is going to be seen in the environment. Now, take for example the Char Dham project, which is around 900 kilometers long and should have a single EIA. However, the project was broken into 53 sections so that EIA is prepared for a lesser region. The impact exhibited would also be lesser than for a larger ecosystem. Now, talking about the carrying capacity in the Indian Himalayan region, the Supreme Court of India, just a minute, okay. The Supreme Court of India has already seized on the matter on the issue of carrying capacity in the Himalayas. Now is the time when the apex court should push for just a minute. Okay. Now is the time when the apex court should push for a dialogue on it. The carrying capacity cannot just be limited to the number of people an ecosystem can sustain. It also has to take into cognizance the total carrying capacity of the Indian Himalayan region from the infrastructure aspect. This is what I have been telling you, right from the starting of the article. One thing is very important is that you need to keep monitoring the area, and based on that, then you can go for the infrastructure aspect. How many hydropower projects can the region sustain? How much tourism? How many roads? How much widening of roads should be allowed? That means, right from the very starting, what you need to see is that what kind of project can sustain. Then is how many roads that need to be constructed in the region, which will be, which will not cause a lot of destruction. Second is, can the tourism be perpetuated in that area, and how much widening of road can be done. Now, how much cutting of mountains and dumping of debris in the water ecosystem is good. That means, whenever the construction activities are happening, there's a lot of debris that is generated. So this debris is good for ecosystem or not. That means this is dumped into water. So when you are dumping this debris into the water, will this be good, or what kind of effect it is going to create in the ecosystem? Okay, so the Indian Himalayan region is in a transformative phase, and the impetus for this transformation, unfortunately, comes from the new geography. Now, what do you mean by new geography? See, you have an old geography where you have the Himalayas. Now, when I'm talking about new geographies, for example, this is your mountains, these are your Himalayas. Now, this is your old geography. Now, in this region, if you are going to cut down roads, what is going to happen is you are creating a new geography. That means, now there are infrastructures, or you can say the development activity that has taken place. Now there are spatial, temporal changes that go beyond the scope and spaces of the Himalayan aesthetic, culture, and building typologies. Now, sheer integration with the rest is not the way of sustaining them. Month after month, Indian Himalayan region is facing tragedies that are colossal and irreparable. Why? Because of new geographies. Now, in this scenario, there is also an exception, that is in the construction of Atal Tunnel in the Kulu, Lahore, and the Spiti district of Himachal Pradesh. The executing company was so particular in implementing safety measures that not a single casualty has been reported in this construction. Now, they would not allow the workers to enter the tunnel unless all the protocols were allowed, followed, and checked. Now, likewise, international protocols and monitoring processes should be adopted. A new legislative architecture that allows people to monitor these projects and ensure that geological experts are part of every move is required. The local communities should be an essential part of these monitoring structures with strict protocol. Likewise, civil society groups and community-driven organizations should be included. So the author is saying that a bureaucracy was limited in that way. That is one of the reasons why the collapse that happened in the Uttarkashi district. So what we need to do is that first let's see what is essential. So first is monitor the structure very well. Second, they are saying that if you're monitoring it, do it with strict protocols. That means you should have your standards fixed. So once your standard is fixed, what is going to happen? So you are going for monitoring, so you are going to keep that protocol with you, and based on that, you will be checking. Now, the next thing they are saying that include the civil society groups and community driven organizations so that a better decision could be made. Now, as far as the Himalayas are concerned, the National Highway Authority of India must realize that they are making roads on soil and mountains and not on drawing boards in their offices. Now, again, very important, because when you implement, or when you have this design in your hand, it is just a layout that is there in your papers. So when it comes to actual implementation, you are making roads on the Himalayan regions. Now things vary from there. So what is required is that you need to keep in mind that making roads on soil and mountains is a difficult task. So while they have accepted that they are learning from the failures, they should not happen in the first place. Now it is very important. See, you are learning from your experiences, good enough, but we can't put in risk so many lives. Fine. So the Belt and Road Initiative and even the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojna have a better protocol of construction where a certain period is allowed for stability. Whereas the overemphasis on meeting targets without stability and safety standards is further accentuating the disaster proneness. Now, the author, based on his research and study, is saying that the Belt and Road Initiative and Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojna. Now, both of them have a better protocol. And better protocol for what? For construction. So, better protocol of construction. Now, when you have better protocol of construction, what they are saying is that there is an overemphasis on meeting targets without stability and safety standards is further accentuating the disaster proneness. That means in the process where we are too focused to complete the project on time, we are too focused on bringing stability. That means whenever a project is thought of to be made, we have that deadline. So in order to meet that deadline, what is happening is that we are somewhere or other compromising on the safety standards, or we are somewhere or other skipping on it. So when we are skipping on the safety standards, what we need to, or what is happening is we are getting more prone to disaster. Fine. Okay, the next article is femicides at a 20-year peak across globe. Now, again, very The numbers are dreadful. The scenario is dreadful. This coming in today's time when we are living in 21st century, again, very dreadful. And let's see how or why, what is the reason behind the femicide. So in India, dowry related reasons continue to be the leading cause of femicides. Are you even getting it? What I mean, um, dowry is still a reason for femicides. Now, about 88,900 women and girls were intentionally killed worldwide on the grounds of gender related factors in 2022. A recent study from United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and United Nations Women shows. Now, this is the highest number of such fatalities in the year in the past 20 years. Now, this is what I'm saying, that the numbers are very dreadful when we are saying that we are living in 21st centuries and still these kind of things are happening, and the reports are showing that what highest number of such fatalities in a year in past 20 years. Now, chart 1 shows that the year-wise murder of women and girls across the globe for gender-related reasons. Now, the UN titled Gender-Related Killing of Women and Girls, published in November, also showed that while the total number of homicides worldwide decreased in 2022, femicide increased. So, the report is saying what? Total number of homicides have decreased. So, homicide decreased, but femicide increased. Now, in general, what is happening, or what is the numbers showing? In general, victims of homicides worldwide tend to be men or boys. As shown in chart 2, men form 80% of the total victims of homicide. Now, homicide is what, one person is killed by the other person. So, in that case, what they are saying is that the chart 2 shows that male and female share of homicide victims. In general, victims of homicide worldwide tend to be men or boys. That means, one person killing the other person. In that scenario, the homicide that is happening worldwide is highest in the men's. Men formed 80% of it, while women's share was 20%. When the data is examined based on perpetrators of these murderers, a significant disparity became evident between female and male victims. Women are more likely to be murdered by their partner or someone known to them. This extends from the fact that women are subjected to physical violence mostly from their immediate family members. That means women on the share, or the femicides that are happening, or if you see women being attacked in case of homicide, it is mostly by their partners. Now, chart 3 shows that 88,000 female victims of homicides in 2022. 48,000 or 55% were killed by family members or intimate partners. Only 12% of male homicide victims were killed by a person known to them. The trend of women being more vulnerable to gender related violence by family is prevalent across the globe. Now, what is the chart 4 showing? Now, the chart 4 shows the continent-wise split of share of intimate partner family-related homicide among all female and male homicides. Across all regions, the share of such homicides among women in which the perpetrators are known was higher than in case of men. That means when there is an incidence of homicide happening, they are saying that it is highest in men, and when it comes to women it is lowest. So the number here shows 20% and the number here shows 80%. Now they say when it comes to men in homicide, the perpetrators are not known most of the time. But when it comes to women section, mostly it is the partner. Or if there is violence happening, so the violence is happening from the family side. For instance, when over half the female homicide in Europe, the perpetrators are partners or related to the victims, whereas among men the share was only 18%. In the Americas, too, the disparity showed 45% among women homicide and 12% among men homicides. In 2022, there were about 20,000 female victims of intimate partner or family related homicide in Africa, the highest among the continent. The African continent exceeded Asia in femicide for the first time in 13 years. That means, in case of femicide, Africa has, jumped into the position higher than the Asia, and this has happened for the first time in 13 years. In Asia, there are 18,000 women who were killed by their families during the same period. Notably, while the Americas reported 7,900 such cases, the rate of femicide per 1 lakh female population was 1.5, making it the second highest after Africa, which had a rate of 2.8. Asia's rate was 0.8. So if you check the number for Africa, it's 2.8, quite a high. Asia, it is 0.8. Okay. The data also suggests that there was a general trend of reduction in gender-related killing of women before 2021, though it has increased drastically in 2021 and 2022. According to three national studies conducted in South Africa across 18 years, the female intimate partner homicide rate halved between 1999 and 2017. But in recent years, the rate increased from 9 victims per 1 lakh women in 2019 to 12.7 victims per 1 lakh women at the end of 2022. So, what you see is that initially the number stood by 9 victims per 1 lakh women, and 12.7 victim per 1 lakh women. Now, this is the number by the end of 2022. There has been a small decline in gender-based killings in India over the past decade. That said, the killing of women due to dowry-related reasons, accusation of witchcraft, and other gender-related factors still persist. That means, women going through this femicide. Three reasons are prominent. One reason is your dowry-related issues. Second reason is your witchcrafting. And third is your gender-related pattern that talks about male child being preferred, etc. So gender-related. Now, chart 5 shows the number of gender-related deaths in India between 2016 and 2021 and the reasons behind it. Now, dowry has consistently been the leading cause, while honor killing and murder related to witchcraft accusation formed a small share too during this period. Okay. I have covered this femicide editorial. Now, this becomes very important with your Indian society section, social justice section, where women is covered under your vulnerable groups. And with respect to essay portion also, because we have got the numbers that are coming from your reports of United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and UN Women. Then I've done the Himalayan region, then I've done the fleet electrification. Now let's move on to the next one that talks about why is Bihar demanding the special category status. So if you have been following the news, there has been a lot of caste survey that has been taking place, and Bihar Bihar has been there in a hot topic for past so many days. Firstly, it was for the caste survey. Now, Bihar is demanding the special category status. So again, let's see why Bihar is demanding the special category status. And I've covered in the past also which states could actually demand special category status. So why is Bihar onto the picture? And if special category status is being demanded, then the point is that what are the benefits of it? On November 2022, the CM cabinet passed a resolution. And what is that resolution about? Seeking the grant of special category status to Bihar. The demand comes in the backdrop of the findings. And what are those findings? From the Bihar caste-based survey of 2022. This is what I said. For past so many days, Bihar has been a hot topic regarding caste-based survey. Which reveals that nearly one third of Bihar's population continues to live in poverty. Now, which reveals that nearly one third of Bihar's population live in poverty. Now, what is the special category status? The classification granted by the center to assess the development of states that face geographical or socio-economic disadvantages. Now, the special category status was introduced in 1969 on the recommendation of the Fifth Finance Commission. So, first we need to know about the special category status. What is special category status? Why is it demanded? How do you know why was it introduced, etc. So, it's this special category status. Uh, uh, is a classification that is granted by the center to assess the development of the state. That means this is granted by center. And what is the reason? That reason is development of state. Now they say that a special category status was introduced in 1969. And this happened on a recommendation of Fifth Finance Commission. Now, 5 factors such as hilly and difficult terrain, low population density, or sizable share of tribal population. So, what are the prerequisites or the conditions that are important for the state to be, or to even ask for special category status. So if it is having a sizable tribal population, if it is located in a hilly terrain, strategic location along international borders, that means again the location and this strategic location is in the international borders. Economic and infrastructure backwardness. The next one is backwardness. That means you can say that okay, Himalayan regions are economic and infrastructural backwardness is there, then they should be included in the these special category status, but these states are there. So if you see the regions of Nagaland, if you see the regions of Assam, they are there. Now, non-viable nature of state of finance are considered before granting special categories in 1969. Three states, Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, Nagaland. This is what I just told you, that Nagaland and Assam regions were there. So were granted the special category status. Now, subsequently, 8 more states, that are Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand were given special category status. Now, what are the benefits attached? So, the special category status used to receive grants. These grants are coming from where? Gadgil-Mukherjee formula, which earmarked nearly 30% of the total central assistance for states. However, after abolition of Planning Commission and recommendation of 14th and 15th Finance Commission, this assistance to special category status states has been subsumed in an increased devolution of divisible pool funds for all states. That means, see, when the fund of devolution is happening, it is happening between, what should I say? The fund devolution is happening in a horizontal zone and in a vertical way. When you will do economics in detail, you will get to know how it is. So divisible pool funds for all states increased to 41% in the 59 from 32%. Now, additionally, in the special category status, says the center state funding of centrally sponsored scheme, that is your CSS, is divided in the ratio 90 to 10, far more favorable than 60-40 or 80-20. That means the funds that is being coming is divided into 90 to 10. Now, besides, there are several other incentives available to the special category status states in the form of concession in custom and excise duties, income tax rates, corporate tax rates to attract investments. Why is Bihar demanding the special category status? So, firstly, the poverty and the backwardness. Second is lack of natural resources. Thirdly, it is continuous supply of water for irrigation. They require it because UP Bihar are most favorable for agriculture, or majority of the population is dependent on agriculture. Severe droughts, simultaneously bifurcation of the state led to the shifting of industries to Jharkhand and created a dearth of employment and investment opportunities. Now, with a per capita GDP of around 54,000 rupees, Bihar has consistently been one of the poorest states. This is what I told you. So, highlighting the name in this fresh demand, CM said that the state is home to 94 lakh poor families. Granting special category status will help government get about 2.5 lakh crore required to fund various welfare measures. So, if the special category status is granted, what is going to happen? The state will get what? Assistance, assistance of close to 2.5 lakh crore rupees for what? For welfare measure. Now, do other states also want special category status? Now, since this bifurcation in 2014, Andhra Pradesh has asked for a grant of special category status on the grounds of revenue loss due to Hyderabad going to Telangana. Now, if like all of you know that the Andhra Pradesh region was bifurcated. So one was Andhra Pradesh region, one was Telangana. And because Hyderabad region went to Telangana, what happened was that there was a loss of revenue. So when there was loss of revenue, based on that, Andhra Pradesh asked for special category status. So this was Andhra Pradesh asking for special category status in 2014. Next is Odisha has also been requesting the special category status, highlighting its vulnerability to natural calamities such as cyclones and a large tribal population. However, the central government, citing the 14th Finance Commission report, which made a recommendation to the center that no state to be accorded the special category status, has repeatedly denied their demands. Now, is Bihar's demand justified? Although Bihar meets most of the criteria for the grant of special category status, it does not fulfill the requirement of hilly terrain, difficult geographical areas, which is considered to be the primary reasons for difficulty in infrastructure development. In 2013, a Raghuram Rajan committee set up by the center placed Bihar in the least developed category and suggested new methods based on multi-dimensional index for devolving funds instead of a special category status, which can be revisited to address the state's backwardness. Now, the author, Mr. Kartikeya Singh, is suggesting what he initially under the Raghuram Rajan committee, Bihar was granted a status of least developed category. Now, when Bihar was granted, or where Bihar, wanted this least developed category, it suggested a new methodology and methodology regarding what multidimensional index. So, based on that, what author is saying that we can revisit that strategy for the next time and again, and then we can talk about development in the Bihar. For that, we don't require to bring Bihar into the special category status. Okay, so this one for today. Thank you so much. I shall meet you tomorrow.